Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Berardi Immigration Law Trump Tuesday webinar. We are here today at noon. We will start in a few minutes. There is a lot to talk about today, so I don't know, crack open a bottle of water, open your salad or sandwich, get ready to learn the latest and greatest of what's going on in the immigration world. Okay, well, no time like the present. Again, I'm Rosanna Berardi, managing partner of Berardi Immigration Law here in Buffalo, New York. We are also of counsel to Barclay Damon, a regional firm with offices throughout the Northeast. And I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about all things immigration under the Trump administration. We do these webinars once a month on Tuesdays as a way of keeping you informed on the latest and greatest. There's so much news, so much noise, so many things happening that we are here to give you bite-sized overviews right down the middle so you know what's going on. So, okay, first up, what are we talking about? We're talking about the bomb that dropped a few weeks ago, the H-1B $100,000 filing fee that was plucked out of thin air on a Friday evening by way of an executive order. Trump administration said loudly and clearly to tech companies and foreign national workers, if you want to be in the United States, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay $100,000. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Right now, it can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 to sponsor an H-1B employee or worker. Imagine having to do $100,000. Now, Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, which is the company that makes AI chips for all of the AI platforms, says, we don't care, we'll pay it. Well, Jensen, you probably couldn't pay that at the beginning of NVIDIA, and it's really not the message that we want to send to the administration. But nonetheless, thank God for lawyers, not myself, but other lawyers in the immigration world, a lawsuit has been filed. Why? Well, we all know the $100,000 sounds a little bit insane, but luckily for our government system of checks and balances, you can't just change fees with the stroke of a pen. No, there is an entire procedure, as one would imagine in our great democracy, that requires notices that go through something called the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act, which then says to the federal government, oh, hi, federal government, we've looked at some immigration numbers and we think we could charge more and should charge more for H-1B or other work permits. Great, fine, that works, but has to go through the APA, has to go to the Federal Register. That's an announcement, a proclamation from the federal government saying, hello, public, we are going to raise these fees. Here's what we're going to do. Here's why. Here's how. Here is when. That hasn't been done. So in rolls a lawsuit filed by many hospitals, medical institutions, colleges, universities, tech companies saying, not so fast, Trump administration. This cannot happen. So as of today, even without that lawsuit, this $100,000 fee is not in effect. So today, no one's paying $100,000. There's a lawsuit. What do we hope for a lawsuit? Well, we hope for a quick resolution, but oftentimes judges will say, okay, we're going to issue an injunction, which just means a stop or timeout. We haven't had an injunction yet, but we're expecting one, hopefully soon. And what does this really mean? Well, this big $100,000 fee is really geared towards the next H-1B season, which in our immigration law world is really March of 2026, the spring of 2026. So if you're an employer and you traditionally sponsor a host of H-1B workers every spring, like many of our clients do, we're watching this one closely. Hopefully this will not happen. It was not done properly through the proper channels. Hopefully, this was just the big soundbite that got everybody riled up. And there's the cast of people saying, yeah, we need to hire American workers and only American workers, and foreign workers are stealing their jobs. I've been doing this for 28 years, and I can talk right down the middle of that argument and counter it, saying that A, we don't have enough American workers that want to do work in tech and medicine and science, and B, it is to the benefit of this country to have a melting pot of minds and thoughts and education. However, no one's asked me. But so what do you need to know? H-1B $100,000 fee, not in effect today. There is a lawsuit because they didn't issue it properly. Hopefully there'll be an injunction, which is a stop. And stay tuned because this one is moving and grooving. All right, what is going on next? Well, U.S. citizenship. If you are a green card holder and you want to become a U.S. citizen, in my world, that's called naturalization. We are naturalizing you from a green card holder, a native of China, India, Philippines, wherever you are born, and you want to become a U.S. citizen, you file an application called U.S. Application for Citizenship or Naturalization Form N-400. Why are we talking about this? Well, as of October 20th, which is in 6 days from today, the government's changing some of the procedures and requirements. Now, this one's critical. Pay attention. If you are going to file ASAP. If you're filing after October 20th, or if you have a citizenship interview scheduled after October 20th, be prepared. There's a new citizenship test. It used to be 100 possible questions, and you would need to get 6 questions out of 10 correct. Well, now they've expanded that to 120 questions. And the answers aren't yes, no. The answers are things like, why did the United States enter into the Persian Gulf War? I don't know. Most Americans don't know. But if you're going to apply for U.S. citizenship or naturalization, you're going to need to know these things. And you're going to need to get 12 out of 20 correct. This is tough. This is going to be hard. This is intentional. The government wants it to be harder. It's part of the administration's messaging. They are narrowing the funnel of U.S. immigration. They're all for immigration, lawful immigration. Yes, I am too. But they're going to make it harder. They're going to make sure that people that are coming to the U.S. to become citizens really know their stuff about America, American history. Kind of funny. Most Americans can't get their head out of YouTube. But anyway, what else is important? Well, there was always a component of good moral character. Makes sense, right? You want people to come to the United States that aren't criminals, that are law-abiding citizens, are going to do good things. Good moral character isn't new, but what is the government doing after October, when? 20th. They are holistically assessing if you're a person of good moral character. What does that mean? That means if you have an interview or you're filing before October 20th or you have an interview after October 20th, bring in evidence. Paper. Remember paper? Put it in a folder. What should you bring? 5 years of tax returns. Why? Well, the government likes to see that you're in compliance with U.S. income tax rules and regulations. If you haven't filed in a long time, could work against you. What else did you bring? A few testimonials from friends, your church, family, any group that you're in, proof of donations. Do you do any community work, community involvement? Google yourself, see what comes up. Make sure you look like a really promising applicant for naturalization. This is an interview. Treat it like a job interview. Make sure you can prove that you're a good person. You study, you're prepared. You look put together. You don't need to wear a 3-piece suit, but this is important, people. You're asking to become the citizen of another country. Fun fact, if you're not born on U.S. soil, you're not a U.S. citizen unless you naturalize. So take this seriously. Again, part of the messaging. Government saying we're going to modernize and tighten vetting while we maintain fairness. Well, here's a fun fact. To even get a green card, you go through many layers of security. To do naturalization, same thing. Government's running background checks. They're looking on Google. They're doing all sorts of things. This is another layer. Be prepared. Do not walk into this interview with your Tim Hortons coffee, in your flip-flops. not studied, not prepared. This is a job interview. Listen up, pay attention, be prepared, and you too can become a U.S. citizen. If you have tax issues, I just want to keep saying that can be a major issue with this new set of requirements. Everyone take a pause. All right, what else is happening? Well, it's October 14th. The federal government is shut down. I just looked online before I popped on this webinar. Not a lot of talk in the media. There just isn't. We're 14 days into it. Doesn't really seem to be an end in sight. What does this mean for you? If you're in the immigration world, if you're applying for an application for a TN, an L1, a perm green card, couple different things. So USCIS, that's the agency where we send all of our petitions to. They look at them, they make decisions, they afford benefits to foreign nationals applying for certain immigration status. They are fee funded. What does that mean? That means that we have to slap on a check, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, on the application. That check goes to USCIS. So they are open. They continue to process applications. That is business as usual. If you're applying for a green card that requires a testing of the U.S. job market, known as PERM, P-E-R-M, or you need an H-1B that requires a labor condition application, U.S. Department of Labor closed, no one's home, can't even go online to pull a document from there. E-Verify, suspended. If you are trying to verify whether your new hires are indeed lawful foreign nationals in the U.S., you can't do that right now. Immigration courts, let's take the worst, the baddest, worstest making up word situation and make it even more terrible. Let's take something bad and make it worse. The immigration court is closed except for detained cases. That means they're hearing cases of people in federal detention facilities. Here in Buffalo, there's one in Batavia, about 30 minutes away. There's immigration judges there. They are hearing cases all day long. But if you are on the non-detained docket, meaning you have a notice to appear in immigration court, you're living your life, you've got to go to court on Monday, October 20th, that's not happening. Those cases are not happening. What's happening to our clients abroad? There's U.S. embassies and consulates through the Department of State. Things are moving at a snail's pace. Really small staff, lots of cancellations. If you have a visa appointment abroad, check in with us, check on social media, check on the embassy's website. This one is moving slowly. Yes, technically they're still open, but they're moving slowly. Now, finally, this one is coming up. October is a whirlwind, beginning of the government's fiscal year. Federal government is closed right now. Citizenship requirements being expanded, changed on October 20th. October 28th, listen to that. Weird Tuesday, not sure why they picked that. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, you know, the people that are processing your application that we throw the check on, they're not accepting checks anymore on October 28th, even though 80% of their fees are paid by way of check. Again, we're modernizing. This is a great idea. You can only use credit cards. We front a lot of filing fees on behalf of our clients, and we will be in touch regarding what we're doing in lieu of. But my concern, because I've been around for 28 years, and anytime the government does something this massive, huge change for everybody involved, it usually doesn't last very long because there's so many kinks. However, you need to be prepared. You cannot submit a check after October 28th to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. They want you to either wire them money or use a credit card. Wiring can be expensive. Banks usually charge $30 or $40 per wire. Credit cards work. We use credit cards for everything. That is how most of us live. Most people don't walk around with cash. Most people certainly don't walk around with checks anymore. But for immigration applications, 80% of people are using checks because that is what we've always done. Well, that looks like it's going to change October 28th. Our team is prepared. If you're uncertain about this, reach out to us. We'll keep you posted. Like I said, every time the government tries to do something like this, it doesn't work. But maybe this will. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. So anyway, we talked about 4 things today. The $100,000 filing fee for H-1Bs not in effect today and subject to a pending lawsuit. Number 2, we talked about, what did we talk about? Citizenship. New requirements going into effect October 20th. You need to bring proof of your good moral character, tax returns, letters from people, your church, proof of community service. Treat it like a job interview. Number 3, government's closed, federal government's closed. I don't know. There's not a lot happening in this one. If you're going abroad, you have an application or anything, check with us before you do that. And finally, number 4, October 28th, no more checks to USCIS. Busy, busy time in the immigration world. October, lots of things spinning, a lot of moving parts, a lot of generalities, a lot of noise. It's business as usual at the border. Our clients are getting green cards, work permits. They're getting citizenship. We are doing this. Immigration is not closed. Seems like it. Is it more difficult? Is it taking longer? Absolutely. Are we getting more requests for evidence? Absolutely. This is an administration that promised to fix immigration, and by golly, they are trying. I don't agree on all of their methods, but this is an administration that is not taking their eye off the ball of immigration. I'm Rosanna Berardi. I have a weekly podcast called Immigration Weekly with Rosanna Berardi, where I talk just like this. I try not to go for more than 10 or 15 minutes. Who has time? More importantly, who wants to listen to an hour of immigration? Join us weekly, Immigration Weekly podcast with Rosanna Berardi on places that you'll find podcasts like Apple, Spotify. Great YouTube channel, great LinkedIn presence, Berardi Immigration Law. Until the next Trump Tuesday, I'm Rosanna Berardi. Have a great day.